You want to give yourself a quick feeling of relief? Dance that out. Dance it out. Shake it out. Bust it out. Drop it. Roll it over. Pat it on the back. When in doubt, dance it out. Welcome to this week's Karma Cards. I am so excited to chat with you this week. Here's the message that I have from the team. This one snuck up on me. I wasn't quite sure heading into this Karma Cards what the message was about, but the theme is about relief. And what's really interesting is that both in coaching sessions and conversations I'm having with people, there is this beautiful consciousness that's been kicking in for people about when they've pushed themselves too far and they're naturally pulling themselves back into a place of relaxation and rest. Maybe you're there too. Maybe it's the holiday season. What I'm seeing though, and I'm loving it, is more conscious awareness around pushing ourselves too hard. And we don't always notice it. You'd think you'd notice that, but we don't always notice it. And one of the ways that I have been identifying this pattern lately, both with myself and with clients, is self-honesty. So self-honesty sounds like it would be something that's easy to do, but our egos, God bless them, so clever as they are, have a way of wrapping the truth and coding it in stories to the point where we even lie to ourselves to protect us from the story that we've wrapped around our truth. When that happens, we can put ourselves in situations where we're compromising ourselves, maybe going against our own intuition or pushing on ourselves too hard. And it's all to protect ourselves from the story that we are telling. One example of this is in a coaching session, I heard someone talking about working with their mother. Now, this wasn't my personal coaching session. This was from a coaching group I'm in. But they were talking about working with their mother. And instantly, both my coach and myself knew this person did not want to be doing that. Like you could just, it was palpable. You could feel it off this person. But they had all these stories around why it wasn't okay to admit that. And mostly the stories, and I find this to be a pattern that other people experience too, is they have a story around what being honest with themselves and maybe another person would mean. And so the story is about protecting the other person from their own feelings. But in the process, what they do is they insulate themselves from their truth. And so nothing feels good. No answer is coming. There seems to be no win-win situation for the person. So it ends up overwhelming them or creating confusion and disorientation about which way their energy should go. Immediately, when this person got honest with themselves that no, they don't want to work with their mom. It just doesn't feel right anymore. There was instant relief. Not because the situation had been solved, but because all of a sudden they have direction. When you know your truth, you know which way to go. Your truth is your North Star. It is your destiny. Your truth is always pointing you in the direction you should go. It's kind of like having a compass, right? That's always pointing at true north, which is your North Star, your destiny. And the truth is the needle that points in that direction. But if you take a magnet and you hold it over the compass, well, the needle spins around and around. It's directionless. That's what happens when we obscure our personal truth with a story about what it means. So in her case, to admit that the working relationship wasn't a good fit for her anymore, the story she told herself was about how guilty she'd feel that her mom wouldn't appreciate hearing that, and then fictionally going into her mother's response. to that situation. It never there was no conversation. It never actually happened, but the story she created around it was so intense, and the emotion was guilt, and I don't want to feel guilty, so I'm not going to live my truth. But what ended up happening is she felt directionless, like she just didn't know which choice to make next. And she was baffled because she identified herself as a very decisive person. So that's just one example of what it looks like when we obscure our truth from ourselves. So why is it so hard to be honest with ourselves? There's probably one or two things going on there. One, you're trying to protect yourself from feeling a negative emotion you don't want to feel, such as guilt or shame. Two, you might actually be trying to protect someone from your choice, as if they don't have the capacity to handle it, right? We've decided you don't have the capacity to handle this, so I'm not going to share it. I'm not going to live it because you would fall apart, which if you hear that like that, it's not very fair, is it? We're not giving them the benefit of maybe maturity or understanding or compassion, right? We're sort of robbing them of an opportunity to show up in an understanding, supportive, or compassionate way, while we're also robbing ourselves of an opportunity of clarity, of direction, of what step we need to take next. And here's the beautiful thing. When we are honest with ourselves, when we're willing to take a look at how we truly feel about something in front of us, whether it be a big decision we have to make, a relationship we're looking at, which, by the way, that's highlighted during this time period. Venus is active and retrograding, so we're going to be looking at relationship. When we get honest with ourselves about how we feel, what we truly feel and want, the immediate feeling is relief, like a weight has been lifted off of you. And guess what? Other people, especially those who are directly involved with whatever feeling or choice that is, they're going to feel the pressure taken off of them too, even if they don't know why. Energetically, we are connected to each other through these beautiful lines of energy, like almost like threads in a quilt patching us together. These lines of energy, they're called Akka threads. These lines of energy are connecting us together, and when you put pressure on one end of a line and it's connecting to someone else, they're going to feel that pressure, even if they don't know it's coming from you. They're just going to feel an intensification of energy. If they're tuned in to energy, they're going to notice that they really feel it when you're around, and they're going to be like, whoa, what's going on there? And probably want to try and back off to alleviate it. When you do the work of being honest with yourself about how you feel and what you want, that pressure alleviates, and they feel it too. You might notice that when you do that for yourself, they come around and they're like, hey, what's up? Like, I miss you. Haven't been around much. Like, people feel it. You'll feel it. The message from the team right now is that if you're feeling pressure, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling directionless, there is a good chance that there is a feeling or a desire that's being suppressed and not acknowledged. The good news is the way the universe works is it's always providing you with opportunity to see yourself. So you will get lots of opportunity or challenges, however you want to look at it, to see yourself, to see what's going on here. And a great exercise to find out what's going on is to get centered, put your hand over your heart. So tune into your heart space. And once you feel that grounded and centered feeling, that quiet stillness in yourself, ask, what do I feel right now? This is really interesting because we often think of feelings as being strong or bold. I mean, those of us who have strong feelings tend to experience strong and bold feelings. There can be undercurrents of feelings that are very subtle. And when you listen to your heart, you might be quite taken aback by what it said. I'll give you a personal example. So I do this every morning. And over the last few mornings, I've been getting the same answer. I'm tired. And I was like, well, maybe I'm just saying that because I've just woken up and I kind of wake up and then start my journaling. And I went, you know what? I feel like there is more than just tiredness here. So I put my hand on my heart. I settled. And what I do is I allow whatever the first thing that comes up is. I take that. I don't try to second guess myself. The first words that come up are the ones I believe are my intuition, my heart talking back to me. And by the way, just to be clear, the heart doesn't talk in long sentences like I do. The heart talks very succinctly, like ba-bum, ba-bum. The brain has the train of thought. The heart is like a word, a phrase. So I put my hand on my heart this morning and it said distressed. And I was like, the ego wanted to kick in and go, no, that's wrong. There's nothing to be distressed about. There's no stress. What are you talking about? Like the ego was already starting in with that's wrong. So I was like, nope, distressed. Okay. I wrote that word down and I'm like, okay, why do I feel distressed? And the answer I got back was very interesting, that psychologically, I've been putting a lot of pressure on myself to get an answer to something I'm working on right now. Something I'm working on for you that I can't tell you about. But I've been getting a lot of pressure. Have an answer. Make it a good answer. It's got to be the right answer. And even though it's not at the forefront of my mind, it's just back here commenting on what I'm doing, I hadn't noticed that it was really just that I was sort of like elbowing myself, like just pushing too much. And my feeling state was responding to that with distress. It was so subtle that I was just picking it up as tired. Like it wasn't distress like I'm tied to a train track. It was distressed like I'm too tired for this shit. It's a constant talking, right? So getting honest about that wasn't necessarily easy because I have a lot of drive. I want to create something, but I have matured enough in my life to learn that that's not how, putting pressure on myself or someone else is not how you get results, right? So from there, what I did, once I got my honest feelings out, then I made an action plan about how I'd back off. I'd back off of myself. And I have to tell you, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful feeling. Stuff got done, but it didn't have this intensity behind it, this constant scrutiny. It was just like, nope, this is the part I work on right now. This is what I'm getting, and I'm okay with that. I'm relaxing into this. So that process is so good, and it's something you can do every day. And the more you practice it, the less likely you will conceal your own truth from yourself. Now, that doesn't mean you still won't do it. We all do things like it's layered, and different circumstances create different, layering techniques or shielding techniques, protection in us. But the more that you try to return to this place of listening and a willingness to look at what's really there, the easier it will be to be honest with yourself, and the more alignment and relief you will feel throughout your day. And moving forward, it gets easier and easier. Now, let's look at the karma cards for this week. For those who are new to karma cards, let me quickly show you how these work. I have 3 decks here: planets, signs of the zodiac, and houses of astrology. And I've already asked my team in spirit, what is the message you have for us this week? And I got an answer. I got 2 answers, actually. One in red, which is action, and a set in blue, which are outcome related. And the way that you play is I want you to tune into your own intuition and feel what you need this week. Do you need action related answers, or do you need outcome related answers? Or do you want both? Because you can definitely do that. While you're intuitively deciding, let me tell you the timing for this reading. This reading is for December 8th through December 15th. And the flavor of this reading, I love it. It's so in alignment. So we've got the sun. I love getting the sun. This is a very positive card to get. And the sun is in the sign of Leo, which is the sign that the sun naturally rules. So these two cards work very well together. And then I have the fourth house here. The fourth house is the house of the past and where you came from. It often refers to your family and your own roots, right? So we're going to hear about this in the reading. Interesting, the past and the sun illuminating something of the past. So let's find out. All right, for those who are choosing action, your spiritual action at this time is to demonstrate leadership as you did in the past. So this is a contemplation that you're going to have to do for yourself here. Think about a time that you recognize yourself standing in a leadership energy. Leadership is really interesting because the ego may have an idea of leadership as being sort of at the apex, at the top, like everybody do what I say. But real leadership is actually the energy of being able to bring a group of people together and get them to work together for a common good or a common goal. So when you're thinking about how did I take leadership in the past, focus on those moments where you helped unite something, where you helped bring people together to focus in on a common goal. Like maybe hosting a holiday dinner might be an example of that, or organizing a team at work. It really doesn't matter. There's so many places where we can show leadership. It's that ability to step up and see that something needs to harmonize here, and you did that. So demonstrate that again. Mental action. Realize the creativeness of your home base and your family. This is interesting. So Leo is talking about creativity. Leo rules the fifth house of creativity. And there's a lot of ways that creativity is expressed, right? In fact, we're creator beings. That's what we are. Our life, our entire life is one creative act. I mean, we are constantly creating new versions of ourselves. There's just so much that the word creativity encompasses when it comes to humanity. It's really one of our superpowers. And as I understand it, makes our species very sought after because of our creativity. So I'll just put that out there. Part of this I feel is recognize the power of creativity in your home base, in your family. Recognize where it has been. Realize it means also bring it forward. Make more creativity happen around you. And that's definitely connected to that leadership role. So perhaps that's what it's asking you to harmonize, is how can you bring more creativity into this space? And remember, you're not limited. So it's not just, let's do arts and crafts. Although I love that. That's one of my favorite ways. But it's not just that. It's like one of the ways creativity flourishes, and I mean really flourishes, it's the oddest way. But creativity truly flourishes when there are restrictions placed on us. I mean, think about this. Think about a time where you wanted to make or do something. Maybe, let's say you wanted to decorate, but you were on a budget and you could buy like 4 decor items and you had to make it work. I bet you came up with something incredible with that. We've all had these situations where when our options were limited, our creativity increased. And so that's another read for this time period, is like, instead of focusing on how you're limited, use the limits to your advantage, because your creativity increases because of those parameters. Physical action. Act like a leader, do what you want, and do what makes you feel secure. This is interesting. This directly ties in to what I was talking about with personal honesty. So act like a leader, take charge, do what you want, get honest with yourself. How do I feel? And or what do I desire? Sometimes they're linked, not always, sometimes they are. So either we want to look for, am I suppressing my truth because I don't want to say how I feel because of the stories I'm telling myself about what's going to happen if I do? Or are we suppressing our desire because, again, we feel guilt, shame, embarrassed, like I don't want to brag, or I don't want to be too big for my britches. We do that. We suppress ourselves. So that's do what you want and do what makes you feel secure is directly related to that. Because if you have your own back, if you're listening to yourself, you're letting yourself honestly express, and you're holding the space for yourself, that's where security is. That is internalized security. When you feel like you have your own back, I mean, that's a feeling that nothing can buy you, right? When you've got your own back, it doesn't matter what else you got in the world. That is like that strong, rooted sense of security in self, because you know someone's there for you and it's you. Okay, so they're saying this is the opportunity to really do that for yourself. Now let's look at outcomes for the sun in Leo in the 4th house of family in the past. The spiritual outcome at this time is the creation of self-confidence to create what makes you feel secure. I just said that. I love it. Lately, like you turn the cards around and it literally tells you what you're going to get by doing the work. So absolutely, have your own back. Be honest with yourself. You don't have to do it in front of other people either. No one has to be involved unless it's a person that you feel is a safe person, someone who can hold the space for you while you explore. Otherwise, it's really just about you being honest with yourself. What you do with what you get, that's for another time. Right now, it's about tapping into what's really there so that you're not putting extra pressure on yourself. Mental outcome, the gaining of respect for or from taking a chance on support. I feel like this isn't really internalized respect. Like I said, when you have your own back, that not only creates confidence and security, it creates self-respect as well for taking a chance on support. So support is really interested. It's connecting to the 4th house, which is talking about family or others. Remember that there are more than just our physical family or the family you came from or the family you made. There's also your spiritual family and your soul family. Spiritual family being like your team in spirit that's always around you 24/7, supporting and guiding you. Your soul family are those beings who are from the same energetic as you are, and so therefore naturally understand you on a deep level. I feel like this support, though, is actually alluding to the support you give yourself, because that's what the flavor of this reading has been, and the session itself has been about this. How can you show up and listen to you? That loving act of tuning into yourself and really making yourself a safe space to be honest is a beautiful energy of support that we all can give ourselves. However, not all of us do it, and we're being encouraged to no, this is part of the path. This is part of how we do it. Instead of placing all these needs externally all the time, why don't we show up for ourselves in the way we need others to show up for us? And this doesn't mean that other people won't also be supporting you. It just means that we're not leaning on others and waiting and having these expectations that are really hard to meet. Instead, we are allowing ourselves to be supportive of our own needs, and we are doing our best to meet those needs, knowing that we might need more help, but we're going to give it a good try and then ask for help, if that makes sense. Physical outcome at this time. Things brought to life or light resulting from the impressiveness of your home or family base. And again, the word base here is I think the important word, that's the word I'm lighting up on, and that really is, your core. Of course, it also reflects to those who are close around you or your support base. Yes, so as you do the work to stand in your personal truth, stand in what you really desire, and you do that work, it's naturally going to be noticed. Like I said, first things first, people are going to be like, wow, I don't feel so much pressure coming from you anymore. That's just might be like a subconscious thing that goes on. The other thing is that once you let yourself have it, you might actually move into the space of asking for support around it or wanting to express it. It's going to be illuminating. You're going to naturally be showing more to other people once you understand these feelings or desires. So that means like other people will see it too. Those who are close to you are going to notice it. You're probably going to start talking about it. And I honestly feel like you're going to be coming from a more grounded, secure place. So it's not going to be coming from a victim state where like, you didn't give me this and that's why I feel this way. It's more like, I realized this is how I'm feeling now. And so I'm doing work to alleviate this feeling or move through this feeling. And I'd like your support because when this comes up, I feel really vulnerable. And if you could just let me have space or a blank around this, I would so appreciate that, right? I mean, that's what I'm talking about. It's going to sound a lot like that. Notice that at no point in that was it pointing a finger or making anyone wrong. And you weren't demanding anything either. You were asking. And when we're coming from that place where we're feeling grounded and secure and willing to ask for what we need, what you're going to find is that most people are going to try and meet you halfway. And that's going to be a relationship dynamic changer. It's going to create that harmony and balance that might feel askew right now. So I hope that as we're going through this Venus retrograde time together and our relationships and our relationship to ourselves starts to become more harmonious and illuminated, that you feel relief and lighter and therefore able to express more light into the world. And with that, mwah. Thank you for watching. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell so that you know the next time I release a new video. Until then, stay magical.